The sky over the quiet moon was always dark. A soft blue light came from the nearby star, giving everything a soft glow. The air was thin, and no wind ever blew here. It was a lonely place. But Tom did not mind. He worked as a repairman for Space Survey drones. His small camp was the only sign of life on this empty moon. One morning, as Tom fixed a broken drone, his scanner beeped. He checked the small screen. The scanner showed something big, something metal, had fallen nearby. That was strange. Nothing ever came to this moon except small drones and ships from the human station. Tom grabbed his tool bag and followed the scanner's signal across the rocky ground. After walking for half an hour, he reached a deep crater. At the center, half buried in the dust, was a small silver ship. It had sharp wings and soft curves. Unlike any human ship he had ever seen, the ship had crashed hard. One wing was broken, and smoke came from the back. A soft blue light blinked on its side. Tom walked closer, careful with every step. As he reached the ship's door, he saw something that made him stop. Through the clear front glass, someone was inside. It was a girl. Her skin was soft silver, almost shining in the blue light. Her eyes were closed, and she looked very still. She wore a suit he had never seen before, thin and smooth like soft cloth. Tom's heart started to beat fast. He had never seen an alien before, only pictures in old books. But now, a real one was right in front of him. He looked at the ship again. The side glass showed blinking red lights inside. The air system was failing. Tom did not know her name or her kind, but he could tell she was in danger. For a moment, Tom stood still. He knew this could be risky. Maybe her people were looking for her. Maybe they would not like a human touching their ship. But then he looked at the girl again. She looked peaceful, but weak. Tom shook his head. "I can't leave her," he said softly. He took his cutter from his bag and started working on the ship's door. It took him a long time. The ship was strong, and the tools he had were small. But Tom did not stop. He worked until the door finally opened with a soft hiss. A light wind of cold air touched his face. He stepped inside. The inside of the ship was quiet and dim. Soft lights blinked on the walls. He saw the girl lying on a small bed. A glass screen above her showed strange signs, like flowing lines and shapes he did not understand. But the meaning was clear. Life support failing. Tom walked up to her. "Hey, can you hear me?" he whispered. The girl did not move. Her eyes stayed closed. Tom touched her hand gently. Her skin felt soft and cool. She felt so light, as if she weighed almost nothing. He looked at the ship's controls. Nothing made sense. The buttons were in strange shapes. There was no time to guess. Without thinking more, Tom lifted the girl in his arms. She was smaller than him and very light. He carried her out of the ship, walking carefully over the rocks back toward his camp. The trip felt longer this time. Tom kept looking down at the girl's face. Her silver hair moved softly with each step. She did not wake up. By the time Tom reached his camp, his arms felt tired, but he did not stop. He placed the girl gently on his soft bed inside his small shelter. His camp was simple. A small dome with basic life support, a heater, and a few machines for work. It was not much, but it was safe. Tom checked his oxygen levels and made sure the shelter was working fine. Then he looked at the girl again. Her eyes moved a little, as if in sleep. Her hand twitched. Tom smiled. "You'll be fine," he said. Softly, though he wasn't sure if she could hear him, he gave her some warm air from his oxygen tank. Using a soft tube, after a while, color seemed to return to her face. Slowly, her eyes opened. Soft green, like fresh leaves after rain. Tom froze. The girl blinked and looked at him. For a long moment, they both just stared at each other. Then, she tried to sit up. Tom held out his hand gently. "It's okay. You're safe," he said. The girl tilted her head. She looked around the room, then back at him. She spoke a soft word in a language Tom did not know. Her voice was light, like a soft bell. Tom shook his head. "I don't understand," he said kindly. She looked at his hand, then at his face. Her eyes softened a little. Tom pointed to himself. Tom, he said slowly. The girl watched him, then pointed to herself. She said something again, but Tom could not understand. Still, he smiled. At least they were trying. Tom gave her some water. The girl held the cup slowly, as if she was not sure what it was. Then she took a small sip. For the first time, a soft smile touched her lips. Tom felt a strange warmth inside, even though they could not speak the same words. Something simple had begun between them, something neither of them expected. In the quiet of the small camp, a human and an alien sat together. Two strangers in a wide and silent universe, and without knowing it, this was the start of something new. The days on the lonely moon passed slowly. The sky never changed much, always a soft dark with the far stars shining gently. But for Tom, everything had changed since the day he brought the silver-skinned girl into his small camp. She was still a mystery to him. Her name was a sound he could not understand. When she spoke, her words were soft and smooth, like a song with no meaning to his ears. But Tom could see the meaning in her eyes, in her face, and in the small ways she moved. On the second day, Tom sat by her side. He showed her a cup of water. Again, the girl took it carefully, her long fingers soft against the glass. She drank slowly, her green eyes watching him all the time. After a while, she pointed at herself and said something like, "Rena." Tom blinked. "Rena?" he repeated, trying to say it the way she did. The girl smiled, a soft, kind smile that warmed the small room. Tom smiled back. "Rena." So now, at least, he knew her name. They tried to speak after that, but it was not easy. When Tom said something, Rena would listen but shake her head. When Rena spoke, Tom would smile and shrug. Still, they kept trying. They pointed at things, said words, made sounds, and sometimes even laughed at how silly they sounded. Tom pointed at himself. Tom. Rena pointed at herself. Rena. Then Tom pointed at the light. Light. Rena copied. Light. Tom clapped his hands softly. Good. Rena smiled, a little shy, little by little. They started to understand simple things. It felt slow, like building a bridge one small stone at a time. But it felt good, like finding a friend in a world that had always been quiet and lonely. One morning, Tom woke up early. The soft hum of his shelter was the only sound. He looked over at Rena, who was sitting near the window, staring at the sky. Her hands moved gently in the air, drawing shapes he did not know. It looked like she was thinking, or maybe remembering. Tom walked over with 2 cups of warm water. He gave one to Rena. She took it with a soft nod. Tom sat beside her. For a moment, they said nothing. They just looked at the sky, to people from different worlds sharing a silent morning. Then Rena took a small stick and drew a shape on the floor. It looked like a star with lines around it. She pointed at the drawing, then at the sky. Then she touched her chest. Tom watched, trying to understand. You're home? He asked softly. Rena looked at him and gave a soft nod. Tom smiled gently. He pointed at the star drawing. Home. Rena smiled too. Home, she said in her soft voice. Even though her eyes showed a soft sadness, there was also hope. Over the next days, they worked together. Tom showed Rena how he fixed his drones. He gave her simple tools, and to his surprise, she learned quickly. One afternoon, a drone broke down. Tom opened it up, trying to fix the wires. Rena watched closely. After a while, she touched the wires, gently, moving them with quick fingers. The drone's light blinked on. Tom looked at her, eyes wide. You fixed it? Rena smiled and said, Fix. Tom laughed. Yes, fix. They both laughed softly, sharing a moment of simple joy. At night, Tom often sat by the small table, checking his scanner. He hoped someone would come looking for Rena. He tried sending messages, but his signals were weak. He was just a repairman. His tools were not made for long space calls. One evening, while Tom worked on the scanner, Rena walked over. She held a small piece of metal in her hand. She placed it on the table and gently pushed it toward Tom. It was a part from her broken ship. Tom picked it up and looked at it. It was smooth, with lines of tiny lights running through it. He understood. She wanted to help. Tom smiled. Thank you, Rena. Rena nodded. She placed her hand over her heart. Tom did the same. Somehow, they both understood. Day by day, a quiet bond grew between them. It was not made of words but of trust, small actions, and shared moments. When Tom fixed machines, Rena helped. When Rena felt weak, Tom brought her water and warm food. When Tom felt tired, Rena would sit beside him in silent company. They even started teaching each other words, a mix of human and alien sounds that became their special way to talk. One evening, as they sat near the window, Rena pointed at the stars and said softly, "Friend." Tom turned to her. "Friend." Rena nodded, her eyes soft and bright. "Tom, friend." Tom felt a soft warmth in his chest. He smiled gently. "Rena, friend." In that simple word, they both felt something special. They were not just two strangers stuck on a lonely moon. They were friends, even though they came from different worlds. Even though they could not speak the same language fully, they had found a way to understand each other. A human and an alien sharing work, sharing hope, and sharing simple moments under a quiet sky. And without knowing it, the unspoken bond between them grew stronger each day. The quiet moon stayed the same, dark sky, soft light, and endless rocks. But inside the small camp, everything was slowly changing. Tom and Rena had become good friends. They could not speak many words, but they understood each other in simple ways. They worked together, ate together, and even laughed at their small mistakes when learning each other's words. One morning, Tom found Rena sitting near the window again. She had a small flat stone in her hand. With a sharp tool, she was drawing something on it. Tom walked over and sat beside her. "What are you making?" he asked softly. Rena looked up and smiled. Then she turned the stone toward him. It was a map. She had drawn a group of stars in the shape of circles and lines. One star had a tiny house shaped next to it. She pointed at the star with the house, then placed her hand over her heart. Tom understood. "Home?" he asked. Rena nodded. "Home." Tom looked at the map. He did not know the star pattern, but he guessed it must be far away, maybe even in another part of the galaxy. Rena took another stick and drew a small dot far from the star. "Group." She pointed at the dot, then at the ground under them. "This here?" Tom asked. Rena nodded again. Tom smiled softly. "That's far." Rena gave a soft smile too. Then, with her finger, she drew a line from the dot back to her star. Home. It was simple, but the meaning was clear. She wanted to go back. That afternoon, Tom worked on his small radio. It was old and not very strong. He tried to fix it many times, but the signal never reached far. Tom sat with tools spread out on the table, wires, small chips, and power cells. Lay around him, Rena sat across from him, watching with interest. Tom sighed. "I wish I could help you send a message home." Rena tilted her head. She pointed at the radio and then at herself. Tom looked at her. "You want to help?" Rena nodded and gave a small smile. Tom smiled back. "All right, let's try together." They spent the next few days working on the radio. Rena showed Tom how to connect small parts from her ship into his machine. Some of the pieces had soft lights that blinked when touched. Others gave off a soft hum. Tom watched closely as Rena used tiny tools with her quick fingers. She seemed to know how energy worked in ways Tom never learned. Together, they built something new, a small but powerful signal booster. When they finished, they placed it inside the radio. The machine gave a soft, steady hum. The lights on. It blinked in soft blue and green colors. Tom smiled. "It's working." Rena smiled too. She touched the radio softly, as if saying thank you in her way. That night, they tried to send the first message. Tom sat by the control, Rena beside him. They both wore headsets. Tom spoke slowly. "Calling any ship. This is Tom, human, on Moon Station, with a traveler named Rena. We need help." He pressed the button and waited. The radio was silent. Rena listened with soft eyes. She touched the headset gently. Tom spoke again. Please, anyone, can you hear us? They waited again. Only the soft hum of the machine filled the room. Tom let out a soft sigh. It may take time. Rena placed her hand on his arm and gave a soft smile. They kept trying for many days. Tom and Rena sent messages every morning and every night. Sometimes Tom spoke. Sometimes Rena spoke in her own soft language. But no one answered. Still, they did not give up. When the sun star rose, they worked together on the machine. When it set, they sat outside the camp. Looking at the sky, Tom pointed at the stars. One of those is your home. Rena nodded gently. She placed her hand on her heart again. Tom smiled. We'll find a way. One evening, after sending another message, Tom sat by the window. Rena sat beside him. Tom looked at her. Why did you come here, Rena? He asked softly. Rena thought for a moment. Then she took a stick and drew on the floor. She drew a ship, and behind it, 3 smaller shapes with sharp lines. She looked at Tom and said a soft word. Her face showed worry. Tom watched the drawing. The small sharp shapes behind the ship looked like other ships chasing. Were you running away? Tom asked gently. Rena nodded, her eyes soft and sad. Tom placed a hand on his heart. I'm sorry. Rena smiled softly. Then she drew a circle around the ship, maybe meaning safe. She pointed at Tom, then at herself, then made a small heart shape with her fingers. Tom watched her hands, his heart feeling warm. He smiled. We're friends, Rena nodded. Friends. That night, Tom looked at the sky for a long time before sleeping. Even though no message had come back yet, he felt something different now. Rena was not just a stranger anymore. She was his friend. And even though the stars were wide and the worlds far, somehow, they had found each other. The next morning, as they checked the radio again, the signal light blinked softly. Tom sat up. Is that? Rena leaned closer. The radio gave a soft sound, like a voice coming from far away. A soft voice spoke in Rena's language. Rena's eyes went wide. She looked at Tom, her face shining with hope. Tom smiled. Is that your people? Rena nodded, her eyes bright. At last, someone had heard their message in the stars. The soft voice on the radio filled the quiet air of the small camp. Tom and Rena sat side by side, listening carefully. The voice spoke in Rena's language, soft, flowing words like a song in the wind. Tom looked at Rena. Her green eyes shined with hope as she listened. Is it your people? Tom asked softly. Rena nodded, her hands shaking slightly. She answered into the radio with soft words. Her voice was calm, but full of feeling. Tom could not understand the words, but he could see the meaning in her face. Happiness, relief, and maybe a little fear. After a few moments, Rena took off the headset. She turned to Tom. She placed her hand on her heart. Friend, help, thank, she said slowly, choosing her words with care. Tom smiled gently. I'm happy for you. Rena smiled too. But then, her face grew serious. She took a small piece of metal from her pocket and placed it on the table. It was a soft silver color, shaped like a small coin. Rena pointed at it. Safe, trust you. Tom looked at the coin, then at Rena. What is this? Rena pressed it gently into his hand. Keep you safe. Her eyes were soft, but her face showed a quiet warning. Tom nodded slowly. All right, I'll keep it. He placed the coin in his jacket pocket. He didn't know why it was important, but he trusted Rena. The next morning, a message came again through the radio. This time, Rena wrote simple words on a piece of paper for Tom. They are coming. Ship soon. Trust. Tom read the words and looked at Rena. Trust, he said softly. Rena nodded. Trust. Tom smiled. I trust you, Rena. She smiled back, but Tom could still see something in her eyes, a quiet worry. The day passed slowly. Tom checked his scanners often. Rena sat beside him, her hands folded together. By evening, the scanner beeped. Tom looked at the screen. A large ship was coming, fast. It would land near the camp in a few minutes. Tom stood by the window, watching the sky. Rena came beside him. They waited together in silence. Soon, a silver light flashed in the sky. A large ship, shining like a star, came down slowly and landed on the soft ground not far from their camp. Tom felt his heart beat faster. The ship was smooth, round, with soft glowing lights. It looked like nothing Tom had ever seen. A door opened, and 3 tall figures stepped out. They had silver skin like Rena, soft eyes, and smooth suits. One of them walked forward. Holding up an open hand, Rena stepped outside first. She walked toward them slowly. Tom followed, staying a little behind. The leader of the visitors spoke in soft words. Rena answered gently. They spoke for a while. Tom watched, trying to guess from their faces. After a moment, Rena turned back to Tom. She gave a soft smile and waved him closer. Tom stepped forward. The tall leader looked at him with calm eyes. He spoke a soft word. Rena translated in simple words. Thank. Help a friend. Tom gave a small smile. You're welcome. The leader placed a hand on his chest and gave a soft bow. Tom copied the bow. For a moment, there was a soft feeling of peace between them. But just as they started back toward the camp, a loud sound broke the air. Tom turned quickly. In the sky, another ship came down, this one dark and sharp, not soft like Rena's people's ship. It moved fast and loud, landing with a hard shake on the rocky ground. The silver people turned quickly, their soft eyes now sharp with worry. The door of the dark ship opened. 3 tall, dark figures stepped out. They looked different, hard skin, sharp eyes, and dark suits with glowing red lines. They walked toward the group without a word. Tom felt a chill. Rena stepped in front of Tom. As if to protect him, the leader of the silver people spoke loudly. To the dark visitors, one of the dark ones answered in a deep, strong voice. Rena's face grew tight with fear. She turned to Tom. Danger? They? Bad. Chased me. Tom's eyes grew wide. They chased you? Rena nodded. I run. They want me. Stop. Tom looked at the dark visitors. They stood tall and quiet, watching with sharp eyes. The leader of the silver people spoke again, this time in a strong voice. The dark ones answered with hard voices. The air felt heavy. Suddenly, one of the dark figures pointed at Tom. Tom felt his heart jump. Rena quickly stepped in front of him again. She shook her head and spoke loudly in her soft language. The silver leader moved beside Rena, standing strong. The dark visitor spoke again, his voice cold. Tom did not understand the words, but he could feel the meaning. They wanted him to. For a moment, no one moved. Then Rena reached into Tom's jacket pocket and pulled out the silver coin she had given him. She held it up high. The dark visitors saw it and stopped. They looked at each other, then at the silver leader. The silver leader said a soft word. The dark visitors stepped back slowly. Without another word, they turned and walked back to their ship. Tom watched in shock as the dark ship lifted into the sky and disappeared. Rena turned to Tom. She placed the coin back in his hand. Safe, you, safe. Tom looked at the coin, then at Rena. What is this? Rena smiled softly. Sign peace, protect. Tom smiled back. Thank you, Rena. Rena nodded. The leader of the silver people stepped forward. He placed a soft hand on Tom's shoulder and gave a kind smile. Rena looked at Tom with soft eyes. Friend, trust, always. Tom placed a hand on his heart, always. Under the wide sky of the silent moon, trust had been tested, and it had won. Human and an alien, not just friends, but now bonded by trust in the face of danger. The dark ship was gone. The silver visitors stood with Tom and Rena near the camp. The air felt calm again, but something had changed. Tom looked at Rena. Will they come back? Rena gave a soft smile but shook her head. Maybe, but we're safe now. Tom nodded. He looked at the silver leader, who gave him a kind, peaceful look. Rena turned to Tom and pointed at the sky. Home. Go, now. Tom's heart felt a quiet ache. You're leaving. Rena nodded slowly. Yes, come. With Tom blinked in surprise. Me? Rena smiled softly. Yes, a friend together. Tom looked at the silver ship waiting in the soft light. It shined like a star on the ground. For a moment, he thought of his small camp, the quiet moon, and his simple life here. Then he looked at Rena's kind face, a friend who had trusted him when no one else was around. Tom gave a soft smile. Yes, together, the silver people brought them to the ship. The door opened with a soft light, and a gentle wind brushed Tom's face. Inside, the ship was smooth and bright. Soft lights lined the walls, and quiet music hummed through the air. Rena led Tom inside. The silver leader walked beside them, nodding with a kind smile. They reached a large room with soft seats and clear windows. Tom sat down beside Rena. He looked out the window. The camp looked small now. Rena touched his hand gently. Thank you. Tom smiled. No, thank you. The ship lifted into the sky. Tom watched as the moon grew smaller under them. Rena spoke softly. Journey, begin. Tom nodded. His heart felt light, but also a little nervous. This was his first time leaving the moon, and now, with Rena, it felt right. The silver leader came to them and spoke gently. Rena translated in simple words. Safe, long, trip, stars, many. Tom smiled. I'm ready. Days passed on the ship. Tom learned new things every day. He learned that the silver people called themselves the Seller. They were peaceful travelers who helped those in need. Rena told him more about the dark visitors. They were called Zarn. The Zarn chased those they wanted to control. Rena had escaped from them before her ship crashed near Tom's camp. Now, with the Seller, she was safe, and so was Tom. Tom spent time with Rena in the learning room of the ship. They studied star maps, learned each other's words, and even shared stories. One day, Rena showed Tom a map of her world, a soft blue planet with wide seas and green lands. She placed her hand on the map. Home. Tom smiled. It looks beautiful. Rena smiled softly. Then she placed her hand on her heart and pointed at Tom. You. Welcome, always. Tom felt a warm feeling inside. Thank you, Rena. One evening, as they sat near the window, Rena showed Tom a small glowing stone. She held it out. Gift for you. Tom took it gently. The stone was warm and glowed softly in his hand. What is it? He asked. Rena smiled. Light, guide, safe. Tom placed the stone near his heart. I'll keep it, always. But not everything was calm on the ship. One morning, loud sounds woke Tom from sleep. He rushed to the main hall. Rena and the Seller stood near the control panels. On the screen, a dark shadow moved fast behind them. Another Zarn ship. Tom's heart jumped. They followed us. Rena nodded, her face serious. Yes, danger, begin. The Seller leader spoke softly but firmly. Rena turned to Tom. We've escaped safe way. Ready? Tom nodded. Ready. The Seller moved quickly. The ship turned sharply, lights flashing in soft colors. The Zarn ship followed close behind. Tom stood beside Rena, watching the screen. The Seller leader pressed buttons on a glowing panel. Suddenly, a bright tunnel of light opened in front of them. Rena turned to Tom. Jump, stars. Fast way. Safe. Tom's eyes grew wide. Star jump. Rena nodded. Yes. Tom smiled, a little nervous. Let's go. The Seller ship flew into the light tunnel. Colors swirled around them. Blue, green, gold. Tom felt a soft pull, but it didn't hurt. It felt like flying inside a dream. Rena held his hand gently. Safe, together. Tom smiled. Together, after a few moments, the colors faded, and they came out into a peaceful part of space. The Zarn ship was gone, lost behind the jump. The Seller leader gave a soft, happy word. Rena smiled at Tom. We've safe, begin. Tom let out a soft breath. Good. They rested in the calm of space. That evening, Rena and Tom sat by the window, looking at the stars. Rena spoke softly. Thank you again, friend. Tom smiled. We help each other. That's what friends do. Rena nodded gently. Tom looked at the stars shining all around. Where to next? Rena smiled softly. My home, you, with me. Tom gave a soft nod. Yes, I'd like that. The journey had truly begun. A human and an alien, traveling through the stars together. They had faced danger. They had built trust. And now, they shared a new dream. Whatever waited for them ahead, they would face it together. And for the first time, Tom felt like he wasn't just looking at the stars, he was part of them. The stars around the ship glowed like soft lights in the dark sky. Tom sat near the wide window, looking out at the endless space. Beside him, Rena watched quietly. Her soft silver hair shone in the gentle light of the ship. After a while, Tom spoke. "Is your world far from here?" Rena smiled softly. "Close now." Tom smiled back. "I wonder how it will look." Rena placed a hand on her heart. "Beautiful, safe, peace." Tom nodded. He felt a soft hope inside him. The next day, the cellar leader brought Tom and Rena to the control room. A large screen showed a blue and green planet floating gently in space. Tom's eyes grew wide. "Is that your world?" Rena smiled. "Yes." "Home?" The cellar leader gave a kind nod. Rena pointed at the screen. "We'd land soon." Tom's heart beat a little faster. This was the first time he would stand on another world. As the ship moved closer, Tom saw wide oceans, soft green lands, and shining cities shaped like flowers. Soft lights moved across the sky. Gentle ships like the one they were in. Everything looked peaceful and full of life. Rena touched Tom's arm gently. "No fear. With me." Tom gave a small smile. "I trust you." The ship landed softly near a large city. The doors opened with a soft sound, fresh. Sweet air touched Tom's face as he stepped outside with Rena. The ground felt soft under his feet, like walking on grass mixed with sand. Beautiful trees with shining leaves stood nearby. The sky was soft blue with two gentle suns glowing above. Tom took a deep breath. "It's wonderful." Rena smiled. "Welcome, my world." People of the cellar came to greet them. They had soft eyes, calm faces, and kind smiles. They spoke gently, bowing softly. Tom felt at peace. Rena introduced him in simple words. "Tom, friend, help me." The cellar people smiled and nodded to him. Tom bowed softly, just like they did. One of the cellar gave him a small shining flower. Rena smiled. "Gift, welcome, friend." Tom took the flower gently. "Thank you." They walked through the shining city together. The houses looked like soft crystals, glowing gently in the sunlight. Water flowed in clear streams between the streets. Children of the cellar laughed and played nearby. Tom smiled. "Your world is like a dream." Rena nodded softly. "Yes, dream real." Later, they came to a large hall made of soft light and glass. Inside, many cellar people stood, waiting quietly. At the front stood a wise, gentle-looking cellar, the elder of their people. The elder spoke softly. Rena translated. "Thank you, friend, for your help, for your trust." Tom bowed gently. "I thank you for your kindness." The elder smiled. Rena spoke again. "They wish to honor you." Tom blinked. "Honor me?" Rena nodded. "For courage, for friendship." The cellar gave Tom a soft crystal shaped like a star. Rena placed it gently in his hand. "Symbol, friend, always welcome." Tom felt a warm feeling in his heart. He bowed softly. "I will treasure this. Always." The cellar smiled and bowed back. That evening, Tom and Rena sat near a quiet lake. The water shone softly under the twin suns. Tom looked at Rena. "Your world is full of peace." Rena smiled. "Yes, peace, love, trust." Tom nodded slowly. "I hope my world can be like this." One day, Rena touched his hand gently. "With friends, possible." Tom gave a soft smile. "Maybe we can teach them together." Rena nodded. "Together." They sat in soft silence, watching the sun set gently behind the hills. For the first time, Tom felt like he had found a new home, not because of the place, but because of the hearts that welcomed him. But as the night fell, soft lights began to dance in the sky. Rena looked up. Her smile faded a little. Tom noticed. "What is it?" Rena pointed. "Watch, sky. Not normal." Tom looked. The lights in the sky were soft at first, but then they grew brighter, moving fast. One of the cellar came running to them. He spoke quickly to Rena. Rena's face grew serious. She turned to Tom. "Zarnt near." Again, Tom's heart jumped. "Here?" Rena nodded. "Yes, but we ready." The cellar moved quickly through the city, preparing their soft shields of light. Tom stayed close to Rena. He looked at her. Are we safe? Rena gave a soft nod. Yes, trust. Peace stronger than fear. Tom nodded. I trust you and your people. Rena smiled gently. That night, the sailors stood together, not with weapons, but with hearts full of peace and trust. The Zorn ship came close, but stopped at the edge of the sky. It stayed for a long time, then turned away. The sailor did not fight. They only stood united. Tom watched with wonder. Rena looked at him. See, peace, power. Tom smiled. Yes, I see. When the night was over, the city remained safe. The people sang soft songs of joy and trust. Tom stood beside Rena, feeling something deep inside, a strength he had never known. Not the strength of fighting, but the strength of standing together. Later, Rena and Tom walked by the lake again. Tom spoke softly. Thank you for showing me a better way. Rena smiled. Thank you for trusting me always. Tom placed a hand on his heart. Always, Rena did the same. Under the soft twin moons, they stood together, a human and an alien, bound by trust, friendship, and a dream of peace. The soft morning light touched the quiet city of the cellar. Tom stood beside Rena on a tall hill, looking down at the peaceful land. The twin suns rose slowly, painting the sky in soft colors. Tom took a deep breath. Your world feels like a dream I don't want to wake up from. Rena smiled gently. Dream real now. Tom nodded, feeling peace inside his heart. Days passed, and Tom lived among the cellar people. He learned their ways, how they grew food with care, how they sang songs of hope, and how they healed with kindness. Tom worked beside them, helping plant shining trees and guiding soft lights through the gardens. Everywhere he went, he saw smiles and heard kind words. The cellar treated him not like a stranger but like a friend, like family. One quiet evening, Rena took Tom to a clear pool at the heart of the city. The water glowed softly under the sky. Rena held a small stone, the same glowing stone she had given Tom before. She placed it into the water gently. Soft lights danced across the surface. Rena looked at Tom. This is our way to join hearts. Tom blinked. Join hearts, Rena smiled. Not marry, like human, but bond of trust, forever friends. Tom felt a warm feeling inside. I will like that with you. Rena nodded. Together, we stand always. They both placed their hands on the water. The soft light wrapped around their hands gently, like a warm glow. It was not magic. It was a promise of friendship, trust, and care, a promise of forever. When they pulled their hands back, the light stayed on their skin for a short moment before fading gently. Tom looked at Rena. Thank you for this, for everything. Rena smiled. Thank you for being friend, heart. But the world still held surprises. One morning, the cellar leader came to them with a message. The Tsar had left the skies. They were moving far away. They would not return. They had seen the strength of peace and turned back. The cellar sang songs of joy. Tom smiled at Rena. Your world is safe. Rena nodded. Yes, because we stand together. Tom knew then it wasn't strength of arms, but strength of hearts that kept the world safe. Later, the cellar leader spoke to Tom kindly. Rena translated, your world far, but open for you if you wish to stay forever. Tom felt his heart grow quiet. He thought of Earth, his old home, the empty camp on the lonely moon. He also thought of Rena, the cellar, this peaceful world. He smiled softly. I want to stay here. Rena's eyes shone softly. With us, with me. Tom nodded. With you, always. Tom became part of the cellar city. He helped teach children about Earth's kindness and dreams. He learned their ways, and they learned his. Together, they built gardens, homes, and places of learning. Tom often walked beside Rena, sharing stories, hopes, and soft laughter. They were more than friends now. They were heart friends, forever together. One evening, as they sat by the lake, Tom looked at the sky. I wonder, he said softly, if my people will one day understand peace, like the cellar. Rena smiled gently. One day, if hearts open, Tom nodded. Maybe I can help. Show them. Rena placed a gentle hand on his. With you, possible. Tom smiled back. With us together. Seasons changed on the cellar world. The skies glowed with soft colors. Flowers of light bloomed under twin suns. Tom's heart grew full each passing day, not of things, but of love, trust, and friendship. One morning, the cellar leader invited Tom and Rena to a gathering. There, before the people, the leader spoke kindly. Rena translated. You, Tom, are now one of us, base cellar. Heart of peace. Tom felt his heart swell with quiet joy. He bowed softly. I thank you. From my heart. The cellar sang a song of joy, a soft song that wrapped around Tom like a warm light. From that day, Tom lived as one of the cellar. He traveled with Rena to teach other cities about peace and hope. He sent messages through the stars to Earth, hoping his people would one day listen. Rena stood beside him, always his guide, his friend. His heart. One evening, under a sky full of soft stars, Rena looked at Tom and said softly, Journey still. Begin. Tom smiled gently. Yes, and we walk it together. They stood hand in hand, looking at the endless sky. Two hearts from different worlds, forever together. And so, their story became more than a story. It became a song sung by the cellar, a song of a man who saved a girl, and a girl who saved a man. A song of friendship stronger than fear, of love born from trust, of a journey that would never end. Forever together among the stars. And